Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Bethel Springs, Tennessee, just not too far from the Mississippi border, or sort of state line rather. But I am standing outside a place where Elvis gave one of his first early performances just outside Memphis as he was about to hit it big. A historical marker was erected here earlier this year in 2024, and I'm going to go ahead and read it off to you. There's another marker about this school, and the place I'm at or outside is Bethel Springs Elementary, but at the time it was called Bethel Springs School. Let's read all about it. So that is old route US 45. US 45 does bypass this town, so you gotta know where to look. And again, this is the elementary school. But here is the marker. I'm gonna go on the other side because the sun's facing a different direction. It's the same text anyway. All right, it says here, Elvis Presley performs at Bethel Springs School, September 17th, 1954. Shortly after local schools were back in fall session, a benefit concert was held on the site September 17th, 1954, at Bethel Springs School. While not unusual for the time, the Bethel Springs lineup included a young Elvis Presley performing in his first documented live concert outside of Memphis, Tennessee. At the time, Presley was riding a moderate wave of regional media attention, focused on his first single, That's All Right, / B-side Blue Moon of Kentucky, that was issued on Sun 209. But he was far from the superstar he would soon become. The small gathering of McNairy County students at Bethel Springs were electrified by Presley's new style, but 2 weeks later his music received a chilly reception at the more traditional Grand Ole Opry. Now here in the audience, it says here, future rockabilly icon Carl Perkins was in the Bethel Springs audience, noting the enthusiastic response of the youthful crowd. Perkins would later say it was a turning point in his career, the first time he realized the music he and Presley were pioneering appealed to younger record buyers. Presley and Perkins met here as virtual unknowns, but both men are now considered founding fathers of rock and roll music. It was placed here by the McNairy County Historical Society in the town of Bethel Springs. All right, we're going to take a look at the school. Here's the sign that I'm under. Right in front of the school is the town's post office. Zip code 38315. So if you want to know how to get here, there you go. All right, so that is the entrance of the school. And behind me is, lending library. It looks like they're doing some construction this summer during school, not in session hours. But here is another historical marker. This was placed here in 2023, or last year. Kind of says the same text, but I'll read it anyway. September 17th, 1954. Well, actually, I should say that it's worth noting that the school dates back to the 1920s. But a very young Elvis Presley was booked to play a benefit concert here at the old Bethel Springs School. Elvis had one Sun record single to his credit at the time. It was the future king of rock and roll's first live concert outside of Memphis, Tennessee. Rockabilly icon Carl Perkins was in the audience that evening and marked that performance as a turning point in his career. 2 years later, both men would be among the brightest stars in the entertainment industry and are now considered the founding fathers of rock and roll music, just like I was talking about. But the old Bethel Springs School, where Elvis performed that night, was torn down and the present-day sculpture was built. Both students and Bethel citizens still remember that night in mid-September of 1954, when out of Memphis came this young man in black shiny pants and shirt with pink trim. Reports say the crowd was sparse, but Elvis did perform and thrill the attendees with his rock and roll music. Elvis and his 1954 visit to Bethel Springs School is still talked about today. Placed by former students in the McNairy County Historical Society. Interestingly, they both have QR codes, so I'll have to check those out sometime. So that does answer my question. So this is not the same building. This was later rebuilt. Okay, well, I guess it's worth showing anyway. But yeah, goes without saying, here on this spot was rock and roll history. Definitely pretty cool, if you ask me. I mean, this is not even in Tupelo or Memphis, but in a different part in the south. All right, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. Hope you learned a little bit of Elvis history in this episode. I'll see you guys at the next Elvis site. I am Jason in Bethel Springs, Tennessee. Sign off.